It's true. We cannot fear the myths and legends of our nature and the ancient myths. We really need to fear our gingers.
Whoop!
God damn it, Moo.
That's my favorite gag in the movie. No question. No question, my favorite gag.
All right, so we saw Abominable.
We did.
Which is...
Not together.
Not together. This is the newest, I guess, outsourced DreamWorks animated movie.
It's weird because they like saying, from the studio that brought you How to Train Your Dragon, when instead of saying, from the director of Open Season.
Oh God, is this the director of Open Season?
Writer-director of Open Season.
Suddenly makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, and it's her second feature.
Also makes a lot of sense.
So that fits. But also, it's refreshing to see. If you ignore all of the weird things going on between Hollywood and China in regards to funding and all that.
Oh yeah.
I really did enjoy the fact that this is a movie about Chinese family in China, and it's just about Chinese people with white bad guys. And it was just really nice seeing Asian representation.
Yeah,
so that was cool.
That was nice. As far as the film itself goes, it's harmless.
It was a perfectly serviceable, fun little time.
Yeah, I didn't.
It makes good excuses for nice, cool visuals along the way.
Yeah, I didn't hate this film. I wasn't particularly enthralled by it, so it's kind of it exists. It's fine. It's harmless. Kids will like it. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel.
It was enjoyable. It was enjoyable. It made me feel the things it wanted me to feel at the points that it wanted me to.
I got more annoyed with it the longer it went on.
Really?
I found the other supporting characters who I never really liked from the beginning. Yeah. Just started to grate on me.
I mean, one of them's there just to be the prude who gets shit on the whole movie. And then eventually becomes nice, I guess, through the powers of adventure. Sure. In Dora, there was the stuck-up girl. And then...
Except Dora had fucking charm of the ass.
Oh, yeah. No, and this has some
there's
charm.
No poops on here.
This had some charm. And
ish, in a very generic way.
It's a harmlessly charming movie without being irritating.
I got irritated, so maybe it depends on your personal preference.
Really?
I got very irritated.
What irritated you about the movie?
Again, really, it's just more of the fact, oh my God, guys, will you just shut up for 2 fucking minutes? Mostly the supporting characters. I thought the main girl was fine. I liked her.
Yeah,
I thought she did good. But anytime Prude Boy or I like basketball would talk, I was like, oh, for the love of God. They annoyed the shit out of me.
I was tuned out to them. I was like, oh, they're background noise. That one's there to serve as a foil, and then this one's there to be childish and bounce around and for children to laugh at, and it's fine.
I get that, and I understand that perspective, but maybe it's just the nasally fucking voices, and I kept waiting for the plot twist where it turns out the preppy boy was gay. I was waiting for that, and I honestly kind of thought I was going to get it for a minute.
It's kind of homophobic.
It's more like the fact that the ladies' man is overcompensating about everything but his looks and everything like that. Usually
he's just an obsessed with social media and status guy. Also, it kind of makes light of the fact that this dude is apparently just dating a bunch of girls. And there's that one shot near the beginning where the
girls
kid's
are okay with it.
How many girlfriends do you have? And he's like, And he gets this really weirdly gross smile. And I'm assuming in high school they know about each other.
In high school, he's voted most likely to have an orgy.
Yeah, right. But yeah, he's clearly just the guy he's the perfect guy. He's popular. He's got good grades. He's going to med school. He's got the best shoes. He has money to buy them and all this stuff. And it's interesting because they're cousins, right?
Yeah.
So you're telling me that they live in the same apartment building right next to each other, but one of them is loaded and the other one has to go like empty garbage cans full of fish guts to save up money.
Why are you living here?
So it's weird.
Well, whatever. You just kind of go with it because
they're just tropes.
Doesn't matter.
Plenty of times in this movie, I'm like, that doesn't make sense. That's inconsistent. How did they fly through the clouds in the lush forest and end up in the desert? I don't know. But it is then you literally realize that it's literally a ploy to just show you different cool parts of China.
Pretty much.
Which in a weird way feels almost like another weird...
Yeah, but that was actually kind of like a twist I kind of liked.
Sure.
In the movie.
I liked its place in the movie, but in terms of it being like, hey, come see China and increase our tourism, like... I don't know. I feel like I'm plugging at a conspiracy here, but
I don't think so. It's more like
it's happening.
So, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Either way, it's an excuse to see pretty shit. So,
it's fine.
It's fine.
Also, the turtles were adorable.
Oh yeah.
And gosh, what was it? The whooping snakes thing was good. Every gag involving Dave was good.
The Dave jokes were funny.
The Dave jokes were great.
I kind of like the old man. The old man kind of grew on me.
Yeah. Well, it's Eddie Izzard, so you know.
Oh yeah, that's where like just where like kind of more nuance mixed just a little bit of dark. It's like, I like this tree. Look at the colors. Chop it down. Like put it in a bag.
Chop it down, put it in a bag. I want it in my penthouse.
So like stuff like that. I was like, all right, I kind of dig it.
The rich people perspective. It's an old rich dude who used to be an explorer who got obsessed with his quest for the abominable snowman, and eventually like when they go on this hunt for this Yeti, he remembers what it was like to be outside. So he falls back in love with nature and becomes a hippie again.
Sure.
Kind of. But
whatever. Really rich hippie.
Sure. I guess. And
whatever. I don't know. Like there were a couple lines. It was mostly the delivery of his lines that kind of get a chuckle out of me every now and again.
I mean, the weird thing to me was
he knows his troubles. I like him.
Yeah. Right. The weird thing in this was the whole thing where the thing that made the least sense to me was the powers and exactly what the rules were. And there was a point where I was just like, okay, clearly not.
Did whatever the plot needed to do.
Yeah, and it was an excuse for pretty visuals. Okay,
whatever.
Let's have this field of poppies or whatever. Not poppies. They weren't orange. What were they? Yellow?
Dandelions?
No, dandelions were with little thing. I don't know what
you're talking about.
Yellow flowers. This field of yellow flowers turns into like waves and smashes, and I thought it was a cool visual to watch the wave wash away like a sea wave.
Yeah,
with the yellow flowers.
And there's some cool stuff.
There's some neat visuals in this movie, and clearly it forgoes realism or consistency for the sake of doing some cool shit.
And it's fine.
Sure.
It's animated. You can do that without like it being a big deal. You don't really need consistency and realism in an animated.
Although I will say,
I mean, granted, staying consistent with your own rules is nice, but
I will say that. There were a couple moments near the end of the movie which were very suddenly like high escalation from the rest of the movie. Like it goes from yay adventure, oh no they're trying to capture the Yeti, to I'm going to murder a child. Like just
because you know why? The true evils of this world. Gingers.
No, still white people. But
a subset of white people.
She straight up looks the main character in the eye and smiles and shoves her off of a high bridge where she just falls into the abyss of fog. And she's fine, of course, somehow in a way that makes no fucking sense.
Sure.
But she's fine. But straight up child murder, no remorse, no just almost gleeful, yes, child murder.
Because
while her cousins are watching, and they're in the car going, no! And it's like, whoa, that's intense.
But who will play basketball with me?
And she didn't anyway. But then they summon like the ice spikes that come out and block off the trucks, which, let's just hope out of nowhere it doesn't send the car with two of the main characters careening off of this high mountain pass.
I know, I was kind of like Jesus turned to Borderlands really fucking fast. There's no logic to this. Let go. No,
it's a sweet movie. You're not gonna be too irritated watching it with your kid unless you're like
unless
Michael,
you're me.
Have problem with kids.
I've been working with kids for 7 years, man.
That's probably why they irritated you that much.
It's the nasally voices. It just grates on me like nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah.
So that's a personal thing. I acknowledge that.
You know, it's harmless. It's a good time. It's a sweet, funny movie. It's got some heart to it.
It could have done more with it. I think it's fair to say,
absolutely. Very, very rarely do we see a kids movie that couldn't have done more with it.
True, but I mean, like, in the scenes that they're clearly saying out to be, like, the tearjerker moments, I was like, you could have done this if, one, if you did less in the scenes you did it with, and you cut out Coldplay.
Yeah, it was weird to have Coldplay come in.
Just all of a sudden, I was like, oh, God, like, that's strike one. And then
at least it was Coldplay from, like, the brink of when they were turning really bad.
Yeah, that's true. But, like, the whole
X
thing
and
is,
Y
like,
was not a terrible
this main
album.
girl is, like, trying to, like, get over her father, I guess, who died recently.
She's not trying to get over her father.
like,
She's very
like-
clearly just not getting over it.
Well, either way, there's this part where, like, she had, like, her dad, I guess, planned this whole, like, cross-country trip through China, and that's, like, what she wanted to do, and then it turns out that the Yeti saw the pictures of the trip, and he's been taking her on the entire time, and then they ended, like, the final part, where it's like, okay, here's the, like,
I don't think he was
coming to terms-
intentionally taking her through all those.
It was pretty implied it was intentional.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I could see how you'd think that, but I didn't think that.
Like
and I still don't.
they showed the Yeti looking at all the pictures like in there, and then he hands her the last picture when they realize they're by the statue.
Yeah, sure, okay.
So I assumed it was intentional.
How did we go from the Yellow Mountains to the Goji Desert?
Giant dandelion. To make
Giant
perfect
dandelion
sense.
to the point where we can't even see the Yellow Mountains, but we were going down when we left the Yellow Mountains. So it doesn't
fine.
make
It's fine.
any fucking sense. It's a
fine.
cartoon,
It's fine.
but you know, yeah,
I just kept thinking of Bug's Life. To infinity and beyond. I couldn't resist. Anyway, but no, like, so it ends this part where, like, she knows how to play a violin, because I guess her dad used to play the violin, so she plays this. And it's like, it starts out like, okay, it's actually a pretty good scene on its own, where, like, it's just her playing, like, the song her dad used to, like, kind of very Coco.
Yeah, really would have preferred some of those moments with way less music.
It's like, they're playing the violin, and, like, she's crying a little bit while she's doing it. It's like, oh, okay, if you just kept it like this, perfectly fine scene, and then I guess
Coldplay starts playing.
and then Coldplay starts playing,
Like, I
and
don't
then
need lyrics from other people for this.
and then we get the it basically just screams metaphor as these like magic rain clouds appear, and I guess they make magic flower tears or something.
They make magic flowers, and the sky's clear, and the Buddha cries. It was a little much.
Yeah, that's case like if you just had her on, like that's case like.
Like, you could have
I'm okay
toned it
with-
back a good 20 to 30% and had the full impact, but you overshot.
And that's my case when, like, in cases like this where I feel like it's legitimate criticism, say, like, you could have done more with it. Because, like, you had the possibility for something, but you squandered it by doing too much of it. You didn't trust the audience to absorb a moment.
Sure. But I was expecting a fun, harmless kids movie that didn't have too much more going on for it, and that's what I got.
Yeah, that's fair, too.
It's like I said, it's harmless.
It's harmless. Like, I'm never going to watch this again.
Compare it to the I know you saw fucking Angry Birds 2.
Oh, God.
When we saw,
It wasn't that insufferable.
and we saw Secret Life of Pets together.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that came out this year.
Yeah, no, it was awful. But like, you compare it to those two, and it is miles better just by sake of like being a coherent movie with a simple and straightforward plot.
True.
That had characters that, like, at least some of the characters weren't terrible, and it didn't have insufferable musical sequences, and
nobody's saying a song.
it had some actual heart to it.
Yeah, as far as
It didn't have Harrison Ford around telling you not to be such a pussy, and compared to Ugly Dolls, like,
this is better than Ugly Dolls, I'll say that.
it doesn't have the musical moments that make it so difficult, but
I'm trying to remember, like, I'm looking back at all the
it doesn't try to have a message like Ugly Dolls did.
Yeah, at least not explicitly.
Not really. I mean, it has general moral stances like
Family!
like be nice to nature and be nice to your family and get over your dead dad. You don't have to forget him or dishonor him to, appreciate the family you still got. and keep doing the things you love doing together. It's pretty straightforward. So
See, I'm just looking through I'm like reminding myself, like, oh yeah, look at all these mediocre like anime movies that came out this year. I guess this is one of the better ones.
yeah. So yeah, it's decent.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's not
I don't
really
think there's a lot to say about
No, this is a pretty straightforward animated film.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's DreamWorks is always kind of hit and miss. It's even more so when I guess they're collaborating with other Comcast companies.
Sure.
So I'm like,
Also, what's up with the new DreamWorks logo?
I kind of liked it.
It's a crescent moon inside of a moon.
Well, I mean like the painted like anime stuff before that part. I didn't really pay that much attention to the actual logo.
Yeah, no, they changed the logo so that it's a full moon with the silhouette of the crescent moon with the kid sitting on it in it. It's weird. I don't understand the logic behind it. It's like someone basically decided to burn the DreamWorks logo onto the full moon.
I like that's the part that bothers you more than anything else in the movie.
That's the most bothersome part of the movie to me. Honestly, the other parts didn't bother me that much. So
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not much else to say. Abominable.
I think
Harmless.
it's probably like our shortest review we've done in a long time.
Sure. I wasn't expecting a lot. But,
No, neither was I. And I got pretty much what I expected.
Coming up next is probably going to be one of our longer reviews.
God.
Joker.
I'm so fucking dreading this. No. There's one before that. And you're not going to watch this. But
Which one?
Me and Sarah got to talk about Downton Abbey on Friday.
Oh, sweet Jesus. All right, enjoy that.
So that means I gotta go pick her up in the afternoon and talk about that, and then I gotta go watch Joker that same night. It's gonna be a trip.
I'm gonna be checking out the new Takashi Miike movie before that, so I'm gonna be pretty happy.
Okay, at least there's that. I don't know. I'm so ready for this Joker thing to be fucking over. Whether I even like it or not, I'm just so ready for it to be over.
Honestly, I expect it to be a good movie. I do. Mm-hmm. Maybe like in a vacuum. But in the context of modern times, maybe a little risky or troublesome. But in terms of just a movie on its own, with, when they said about the fact that they wanted it to be like, Taxi Driver style
I think
approach, I can understand that. I remember Taxi Driver. I'm honestly not the biggest fan of Taxi Driver.
Yeah,
but
I like Taxi Driver.
I mean, I like it. I just I'm not a huge fan of it. There are a lot of other movies that I would put above it. Mm-hmm. But I know people where it's like, the top movie. So, yeah, I'm expecting it to be in that kind of vein. And I'd like to enjoy a movie without thinking about fucking incels and what they might and might not do. So, yeah, I'm going to give this a fair shake on its own without thinking about what people have been saying about it.
I will watch it on its own merit to judge whether or not it's good on that alone. That being said, I think once we actually talk about it, we do have to talk about the wider implications.
Of course. That's why we're doing this.
Oh, yeah, I know. That's why you and I specifically are doing this one.
Buddy, I still consider Infinity War to be inadvertent genocidal propaganda.
Honestly, the more I've heard what fucking Todd Phillips has been saying, and more of it, like reading the publicity for this stuff.
We'll get into
I understand your perspective of Infinity War more and more every goddamn day. So
all right,
take that for whatever like little victory point you want.
I mean, we talked about BVS, but we never really dug into Infinity War.
No, we did not.
So
I don't like that being said.
But I'd have to rewatch it to have that conversation. So fuck that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Anyway, Abominable, decent movie. Go see it with your kids if you have to.
I think from the people I've heard, like I trust who watch the movie itself, I think the most damning quote I read about the Joker is it has nothing to say and it won't shove about it. So
it's a character study.
It's more like it thinks it has something deep to say, but it's really saying nothing.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So we're in for a really pretentious ride, is what it sounds like.
I mean, I like pretentious rides, but I fucking hated Ad Astra, so we'll see. That's because that's exactly what I said about Ad Astra.
Yeah.
It thinks it has a lot to say, but it turns out that it's just jerking off about daddy issues in space, and it's fuck that.
Does that like float around? You gotta like pick that up for weeks afterwards.
I don't know.
Oh, look, there's my next generation.
I would love to see that the astronauts in that one scene who just completely fuck up a 3-on-1 fight. I'd love to see them try to handle like, oh no, he came! Look out! Ah! Dodging globules of semen in space. This is really weird for Abominable.
Some may imagine that it's a comedy made by like what's the Thor 3 director?
Taika Waititi.
Yeah, Taika Waititi. I can imagine him doing that like into the shadow version, but just in space. And just one of them was like, "Oh no, the sperm's coming out to me! Duck and cover."
Wait, you mean what we do in the shadows?
What we do in the shadows? Thank you.
Yeah. Speaking of which, looking forward to Jojo Rabbit.
Me too.
Looking forward to Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah.
Initial trailers had me kind of. I have faith in these people, so I trust that it's more, and the following trailers have confirmed that. So I'm very much looking forward to it.
There's actually, I've been keeping up with all this shit on Twitter, and this is like the only thing I say about Top Phillips where we actually get the Joker review.
Yeah.
It's recently said something about like, you can't make comedies nowadays in woke culture or some bullshit like that. And then Tiki just quoted that, and just, that's funny. Wouldn't it be great if you put a link up to his movie where he plays Hitler?
Yeah, sounds like something from the guy who directed the Hangover movies. Yeah. Anyway,
good night, everybody.
See you later. Soon. Yeah.